Hello viewers, welcome to our program on immigration and public affairs, and my name is Michael Fulwani, your immigration attorney, and once again we have with us attorney Madhvi Samudrallah. Madhvi, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now we want to talk about some of the other items, in which will include some of these items, that is the increase in deportation of aliens who have committed crimes, legalization on immigration issues, legislation on immigration issues by states. Because some of the states are making their own immigration laws, and that have been challenged by the courts. Some courts have held them unconstitutional, some courts have recognized them, and there's a regulation under which there are more powers given to FBI for searches and databases, including household trashes. So they're expanding that it is okay for FBI in some cases to go without a warrant and do the searches and even take your trash out to see what you have been throwing in that. Penalties for employers who employ illegal aliens. In that connection, we could talk about the E-Verify system and how that is going to affect the employers. The outreach to combat immigration fraud. That's advisory given by the Homeland Security, that how much fraud is going on outside, and how should you get legal advice when you have a case in a court, an immigration court. An introduction of LGBT, which is the lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender laws about that, permitting them to make it legal, and that will be included in a CIR also, which will also include the DREAM Act. We'll talk about that. And we also talk about the Comprehensive Immigration Act of 2011, the latest, the most recent, which includes, I saw that most of the provisions are more like the previous bill that Senator Menendez and the other senators had introduced. We will talk about that depending on time. Also, the disciplinary action against many attorneys whose conduct involved dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation, or those lawyers who have committed serious crimes as well.
Right.
So with that in the background, we may or may not be able to talk about everything.
Yes.
But let's talk about start with the Supreme Court decision to uphold penalties of employers of illegal immigrants. Now, if you remember, sometime in the past we talked about the Arizona law, which made their own state laws to punish the employers who hire illegal aliens, and the powers to the police to arrest people and all that. It's very, very interesting, actually surprising to me also. I didn't expect that the Supreme Court was going to do that. We thought they will hold it unconstitutional. But with a 5-3 decision, they endorsed the vigorous state efforts to punish employers who hire the illegal workers. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. It's very, very important, and Madhvi is going to explain about E-Verify, what it is and how that's going to affect. But you see, there are some other states also who are following the same thing, which is Colorado, Mississippi, Missouri, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia, who have the similar laws that. But the Supreme Court or some other courts have not approved the whole law that was passed by the Arizona and these states. Only they have taken this part. So now in this program, this particular thing we are talking about, whether the penalties against the employer to hire illegal aliens, they have said it is okay. Now in that context, E-Verify comes into picture. Let's see here.
Yeah, E-Verification is a system that is being implemented by the Department of Labor, and the E-Verification is going to be made compulsory for all the employers and companies.
So it's a matter of time. It's going to happen.
It is definitely going to happen.
Very serious. Why is it very serious?
Because in the E-Verification system, if suppose you have an employee, you enter the details of the employee in the system, you would get information as to whether that employee.
So what you are saying, Madhvi, the employers under this law
have to register.
Required to register the company, and then whenever they hire a person,
verify the
they will be able to go into the computer and check whether that person is legal or not. Is that the verification?
That's what it would be. So basically, once a person applies for employment, it will be the employer's duty to enter that person's information, name, date of birth, social security number, all these important and relevant details. once that details are entered, automatically in the e-verification system, they would know whether this person is legally authorized to work or no, and that will give them an answer. And despite having the e-verification, if they still continue to employ workers who are illegal in the US, then they will be made to pay huge penalties and will be punished, of course.
Now, with the Supreme Court decision,
yes.
even some of the other states who had been thinking or who had put this decision on hold to see what happens, whether we should do or not, now they'll be encouraged. The Supreme Court had decided, so let us also go ahead with that.
Especially with this part regarding employers'
But
sanctions.
it's a serious problem, and basically we know that there are a lot of people, including some of our viewers who are listening to this program today, that don't have a legal status, but they are working. So if this becomes the law, the federal law, and if it is enforced strictly, it's going to be a problem.
The employers are going to be very, very reluctant to employ people without authorization.
They are taking big risk with severe penalties.
Yes, they have severe penalties. So that will definitely be a deterrent, and it is not good news, of course, to people who don't have any authorization to work in the US and are still working.
See, the background of this is, why is President Obama also supporting that? And is that his approach always has been to implement strict immigration laws, also arrest the people who are illegally here, the person who have committed crimes, and penalties against the employers, to convince the Republicans
to pass
that, listen, we have taken all possible steps now. There are no more going to be illegal aliens working and all that now, but it is the right time now. With all these laws in place, we should now take care of those people who are already in the country without status, legalize them and give all those benefits to the Children Dream Act. They can go to school, they can go, all the people in the US, legal or illegal, can live a normal life.
Right.
That is the background. The question is, suffering will take place in the meantime until the CIR is passed.
Exactly, of course.
Now we go back to the CIR.
Yes, we understand. Yes, the CIR was reintroduced back in the Senate. It's a CIR bill of 2011. Which, as Mr. Kulwani was saying earlier, that contains most of the provisions of the previous legalization, unlegalization, Dream Act, and I guess, of course, the employer sanctions also are there in the CIR.
And also permitting the gay and lesbian
yes,
people to...
that is one of the more, because until now, as we spoke in the last program, the immigration has not taken any stand as to whether they will approve cases that are filed by gay lesbian couples who are already married in the States. For instance, New York now allows same-sex marriages, and if it is allowed in New York, then if a person files for immigration authorities have taken the step that until the Defense of Marriage Act is repealed, they will still continue not to adjudicate these cases, most of the times, basically.
Let me just read the information I have. Senators Robert Menendez, Harry Reid, Patrick Leahy, Richard Durbin, Charles Schumer, Christine Gilbride, and John Kerry, all Democrats. All Democrats have introduced the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Act of 2011, a bill that seeks to fix the system that has been broken for too long. The legislation proposes a balance of solutions such as enhanced enforcement measures and a mandatory e-verify program, which is paired with the strategies to address the current population of undocumented workers and the improvements with regard to the future flows of the legal immigration, a commission to study and regulate the temporary worker programs, and other efforts toward integration of immigrants to America. Time for a short break, and then we'll continue this right after the break. So stay tuned.
It's in your wallet.
I'm good.
Each year, 17 billion.
Imagine a
idea is that the
itself. India Tribune over
study and regulate the temporary worker programs and five. That came to my mind. come back. Just before the break, we were talking about the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Act that has been introduced by a group of Democratic senators. And the question that came to my mind, and I was thinking, how come they again introduce more or less the same bill that includes DREAM Act, and one additional thing is about the gay-lesbian marriage is being legalized, is this. Although most of the provisions are probably same, the idea is that they feel that by doing this again in this present session of the Congress, there is a little bit of some encouragement coming from, for example, the legalization of homosexual aliens in New York City, the little change that took place in the new senators that came from the Republican Party, thinking a little bit more positively. And hopefully, if we can get some of these young senators from Republican Party supporting the CIR, we may pull through this session of the Congress. That's probably the background. Okay.
So we can be hopeful about that happening.
What else you got?
Okay, the next one I want to talk about, of course, we talked about that previously also, about immigration fraud and how there are some people, including sometimes attorneys, who give false, wrong information to clients because cases get messed up. Also, there's the Executive Office of Immigration Review, the EOIR, which is in Virginia, has issued a flyer, because they also realize that there are some people who do unauthorized practice of law, and they give advice to clients, or they assist clients, and ultimately these clients end up in deportation, which is what they realize, and that's why they came out with a flyer which is intended to dispute in all proceedings.
By the way, we saw this week only a whole bunch of lawyers all over the country.
Yes.
They were suspended from practice.
Yes.
And I don't know if say any name. There was one lawyer, I think, from our Indian community in Chicago as well.
Yes.
And basically because they found that these lawyers were misrepresenting the fact, they were filing fraudulent cases and engaging in unlawful activities in that way. And that's why they were disbarred. Some of them were temporarily suspended, some of them permanently suspended, but some of them prosecuted, and some of them end up in a jail as well.
Okay.
So what does this show? What does this prove? That is not just because when we talk to some of the clients and I say, why did you go to that person?
Right.
He says, I understood that if you go to any lawyer, the lawyers are supposed to do the right things, and lawyers are supposed to file the right papers.
Right.
I never thought a lawyer can put in fraud information.
Because we have seen lawyers who put in fraudulent documents also.
They make the document in their own office.
Yes, work experience letters, marriage certificates, birth certificates. We have seen that happening, yes. So, it's basically, unfortunately, the lawyer might do it, but ultimately, you as the client is suffering the consequences.
Yeah, but so they have now been very aggressively going after the lawyers who have been committing these crimes and fraudulent applications.
Yeah, and
basically, this one that your memo have relates to the court cases.
Right.
And in that memorandum that you're going to read is advising the public as to what they should do when they have to find a lawyer to represent them before an immigration judge in a deportation proceeding or removal proceedings. What is the advisory coming from?
This flyer is really good that the EOIR has circulated. They said that they start with saying that if you have a case in the court, in the immigration court, you should first of all take advice only from a licensed attorney. And an attorney is a person who has a valid license from a state to practice law. That's what the definition is. Also, there are some people known as accredited representatives who are recognized organizations and have been given permission by the United States government to help people in immigration court. Recognized organizations are non-profit, religious, charitable, social, or similar organization that has been given the permission. Also, if someone claims to be an attorney and you want to know if that person is allowed to represent you in immigration court, ask these questions. Ask that person which state is he or she licensed to practice law in. Also call the office that the licensee attorney of that state, and confirm whether that person is in good standing with that bar association or not. Or you can also go to EOIR website. Of course, you can call our office. We'll be happy to give it to you, and to find out who is not permitted to practice, because they have an entire listing of attorneys who have either been suspended or your licenses revoked and who are not allowed to practice, and this will really help you to make sure that you're not going into wrong hands. Also, so these are, and also they have a number too for you actually. You can call the number, the number is 703 M2U000459029, where they have a list of representatives or attorneys, and they can help you out with
This
that.
information is very good, but I give it even beyond that. I go beyond that. This may not be enough.
Right.
Because a lot of lawyers, they may not have been suspended, maybe on the rolls of the bar council they are still in good standing.
Right.
But they are still continue to do all these things.
Right.
So there are many other steps that you should take in locating a lawyer. First of all, find out your friends, your relatives who have hired lawyers. And some of them will tell you about the hard stories, bad stories, that how they got burnt through this. So then you keep away from them.
Right.
And some of your friends and relatives will tell you about good lawyers
Who have
that,
helped them,
are honest, they have always represented successfully to
Right.
many clients, and their reputation stands for years and years and years and years. Experience of a lawyer. I mean, if a lawyer has been practicing 30, 40, 20 years, many years, and all these years he has been remaining very ethical and been very successful, is a kind of lawyer that you need.
Right.
It's like, as I always say, that if you have a heart problem, you have to find a good heart surgeon, right? You don't want to just find any doctor on the street who has got a stethoscope in his just neck and then say, oh, the doctor, let you remove my heart. So basically these are the many other items that we can talk about, but I think it's time for a short break, and right after the break we're going to have our community leader, Mr. Yashpal Soi. We will maybe he may have some thoughts on this subject, and we'll talk about that. And
yes.
Madhuji, thank you very much
thank
for the
you.
program. Stay tuned. We'll be
And this
one on a
little rude.
For the first year, call.
Can your credit card get you a free check bag on every Delta flight? My card.
We'll be back. Welcome back, and this is the public affairs section of the program, and once again we have with us our community leader, Mr. Yashpal Soi.
Yes, sir.
Yashpalji, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, Mike.
I believe that you have some items to discuss about.
Yeah, Mike, actually, I think I'm seeing light in the long tunnel of immigration reform, because now that inside the country they are taking measures to make illegal employment impossible, because the employers will be penalized if they hire illegal workers.
Right.
And this e-verification system, which they have started to really implement, will help in that area. So this is the best way to
Convince the Republicans.
convince the Republicans also.
Because they always been saying, they always said, you prove to us that you have now put the borders under control. Then we can talk about legalization, then we can talk about giving legal status to who are already legal here and all that. So that has been a major problem, because
Right.
they have never been able
Right.
to do that, to convince them, because no matter what they did in the 1986, they passed the law, and they both said, Senator,
Even the Republicans, as a matter of fact, in a way, maybe wanted to keep it relaxed so that people can...
See, Senator Simpson and Congressman Mazzoli,
Yeah.
those were the two people who 1986 passed that bill, and there was a compromise. Simpson wanted these things to happen.
Right.
And Mazzoli said, but we should both do together.
Right.
That's the way they did. Unfortunately, implementation wasn't there.
Yeah,
and the illegal aliens got the green cards,
Yeah.
but the future illegal immigrants never stopped.
Yeah.
And there are no sanctions were really taken.
And as a matter of fact, now President Obama is, really strongly supporting this e-verification system, and I think it will end
See, the reason
illegal
is he knows, we know,
unemployment.
we know, Democrats know, Obama knows, we will not be able to get a comprehensive immigration reform bill passed without some support from the Republicans.
Exactly.
And this, hopefully, as you said, this may convince them that, okay, now things are under control, let us now go ahead with it.
And actually, I think the young Republicans who have come in, these Tea Party congressmen and senators, I think they're a little different.
Yes.
and they are looking at the light at the end of the tunnel,
Because
and they may support it.
Exactly. They were initially not convinced.
Yeah.
So they were with the conservative Republicans.
Yeah.
Now I see some change taking place, and they believe, well, okay, the administration is taking some strong steps.
Right.
So there is maybe okay now to have ease some laws on the legalization. Question is whether they will go ahead with the CIR completely, or they may still do in the parts, like do the DREAM Act first, and the gay and lesbian marriage is another issue that they have added to this actually.
Exactly.
And as you know, there is some opposition from the Republicans on that. But end of the day, I agree with you that things look much brighter now than before.
Yeah, especially for this DREAM Act. I think things are looking pretty good.
Yes.
Even the Republicans are supporting it. And I hope that becomes a reality, because these poor children who came here at the young age of like 6 or 5, they have seen nothing else but America, and for them to prosecute it anyway.
So let's hope for the
right.
best on that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Other thing is, you know, I was listening to you. These attorneys, selection of an attorney by a person is a very extremely important thing, and you know, it is question of your life, it's question of your future, and so please select these attorneys by talking to your friends, by talking to people who have gone through various attorneys.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Every day I see some people coming to me with a deportation order before. Says everything is fine, you came illegally, doesn't matter, and you qualify under 245I, and you're getting married to a citizen, shouldn't be a problem. Then I find out there's a deportation order. I say, how come? See, what had happened that in those times, those kind of attorneys that we are talking about used to tell them that there's a new law, we can get a work permit. They don't know about political asylum. Even today, I got a client who says, I don't know what is political asylum. I say, you apply for it, and you are deported. He said, I don't know. The lawyer told me sign here, and I'll get you a work permit. Then now I find out this was a political asylum, a Babri Masjid in
India and all that.
Nadiad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of situation.
Yeah.
Then there were some cases where lawyers did this. They had some woman, American citizen, and they did not tell the client. They say, I'll get you a green card. Okay, so they find 5,000, 7,000, whatever.
They want the money first.
No, they prepared the papers, including a marriage certificate. The lady, that lady had a marriage certificate. Every case they'll write out and put in the name of that client, and then filing the papers. And what happened when you file the papers? Any papers? Initially, at that time, they were giving the employment authorization.
Right.
And when the interview comes, they never appeared because they found out that it was a fraud thing.
Right.
Later on,
Right.
that attorney who filed then told them, no, don't go for it. He said, why? You filed the case. You told me that you'll get me a green card. He said, no, that won't work. You'll get deported. So these are the kind of frauds.
Yeah, you have to be beware of these fraudulent attorneys. They are being prosecuted right now by the United States government, and so please be very careful.
I'm not saying that all attorneys, there are some attorneys, they're good and they're bad.
Yeah.
We are here talking about, in that context,
Exactly.
of those few lawyers that are bad and those are easy, the easier praise, easy victims they get.
Right.
Because nobody like me, I will never tell them, you come to me, I'll get you a green card in 1 month.
Why would you say something
Of course not.
illegal, you know, I mean...
So the good attorney will never say that, he'll give you good advice.
Yeah.
I sometimes will say, right now you are illegal, there's no way of getting a green card, best thing is right to do is stay put until there's a change in the law.
Right.
And the bad attorney will say, we won't talk about those things, bad things.
Give me $5,000 and I'll start your case, or something like that.
See, I say a good attorney first wants to find out what are the problems in the case.
Right.
Is there a prior deportation? Is there somebody who's committed a crime? Is a person really eligible under the law? Does he meet all the requirements of getting a green card? When the coast is clear, there's a green light coming in, then we do the case. I always see, first, do I have a green light?
Right.
Or a red light?
Yeah, definitely if the way is open, only then you will step in and work on it.
Right.
If the way is not open, why should you work
but
on
I'm
it?
saying I have so many attorneys don't even talk to them and explain them or tell them. He goes in there and they say, fine, no problem, give me $5,000, I'll get you a green card, sign here. And our people don't bother to even read.
Exactly.
Because today only I was talking to a client,
Yeah.
say, why did you sign this thing? He says,
These are
I don't know.
fraudulent papers, you know.
He's a lawyer. I thought I'm going to a lawyer, immigration lawyer, and I'm paying him a fees, he's preparing the papers, and I'm signing on the dotted line. So that's what problem happens.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think these are very important things. Another thing is, Mike, that I think we should commend Governor Cuomo and Mayor Bloomberg. Mayor Bloomberg is a Republican. Governor Cuomo is Democrat, but they were able to pass the bill on gay and lesbian act.
Gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgenders,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
which was very good because you know that I tell you what, I mean, be honest with you. Okay,
Yeah.
many years ago, I thought that was wrong. Many years ago, 30 years ago, with like many other people.
I felt the same way.
Majority of the people in the country were saying, no, how can you? The God did not create like that and all that.
Yeah.
But with the time going, we saw that our thinking at that time was probably not correct.
Right.
And this is the way of life, and this is the way they want.
This is the way God created them.
God created them, and basically is their preference what they want to do. And then we said it's okay because society is accepted. Society is more or less is open.
Exactly.
Majority of the people.
Yeah.
So it's okay. That's the way of life. Want to live. God bless them. Then they want to get married. Let them get married and live their life.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know. So I think
the only thing left is why the marriages have become legal.
Right.
The immigration laws have not changed yet. But there is a movement. There's a couple of bills actually.
Ultimately, it will happen.
Couple of bills already introduced, and we are hoping that the more and more states in the U.S. joining that legalization of marriages, there will be a change in the immigration law. In the meantime, people are asking us, you want to get married, you get married and go, not a problem at all. But you may have to, ideally, to hold on filing the papers in immigration. Although the immigration service also has the guidelines that even if a person is not eligible, you are denying, but don't put those people in deportation.
That's right.
Or those people are put in deportation, the prosecutors have the discretion not to continue the deportation proceedings. Well, our telephone number and email address is shown on the screen. You can always contact us anytime. Before we say bye to you again, once again, we hope that you had a wonderful 4th of July last week. And God bless you, and keep watching our program.
Every Saturday at 1 p.m. right here on TV Asia. We are here to serve you. We are here to help you.
And goodbye.
Goodbye.
When writing your